A Cuban sandwich is a variation of a ham and cheese sandwich that originated in cafes catering to Cuban workers in Key West and Ybor City, Tampa, two early Cuban immigrant communities in Florida. Later on, Cuban exiles and expatriates brought it to Miami, where it is also still very popular. The sandwich is made with ham, roasted pork, Swiss cheese, pickles, mustard, and salami on Cuban bread. The later variation of the sandwich that emerged in Miami excludes salami. In 2012, the historic Tampa Cuban Sandwich was designated as the signature sandwich of the city of Tampa by the Tampa City Council. History. As with Cuban bread, the origin of the Cuban sandwich, sometimes called a Cuban mix, a mixto, a Cuban pressed sandwich, or a cubano. Some believe that the sandwich was a common lunch food for workers in both the cigar factories and sugar mills of Cuba, especially in big cities such as Havana or Santiago de Cuba, and the cigar factories of Key West by the 1860s. The cigar industry in Florida shifted to Tampa in the mid-1880s, and tens of thousands of Cuban workers moved to the area over the next decade. The first recorded mentions of a distinct Cuban sandwich survive in descriptions of workhouse cafes in Ybor City and West Tampa from around 1900, leading other historians to theorize that the sandwich as now constituted first appeared there. A travel article published by the Mason City Globe-Gazette in 1934 said that Tampa's cooking was much more distinctive than elsewhere in the state and lists Cuban sandwiches, along with Cuban bread, among the city's signature foods. By the 1960s, Cuban sandwiches were also common on Miami cafeteria and restaurant menus, as the city had gained a large influx of Cuban residents after Fidel Castro's 1959 rise to power in their native land. Ingredients. While there is some debate as to the contents of a true Cuban sandwich, most are generally agreed upon. The traditional Cuban sandwich starts with Cuban bread. The loaf is sliced into lengths of 8–12 inches, lightly buttered or brushed with olive oil on the crust, and cut in half horizontally. A coat of yellow mustard is spread on the bread. Then sliced roast pork, glazed ham, Swiss cheese, and thinly sliced dill pickles are added in layers. Sometimes the pork is marinated in mojo and slow roasted. The main regional disagreement about the sandwich's recipe is whether or not to include salami. In Tampa, Genoese salami is traditionally layered with the other meats, probably due to the influence of Italian immigrants who lived side by side with Cubans and Spaniards in Ybor City. Mayonnaise, lettuce, and tomato are usually available options throughout Florida menus but are usually frowned upon by traditionalists. When assembled, the sandwich can be toasted in a sandwich press called a plancha, which is similar to a panini press but without grooved surfaces. It is usually cut into diagonal halves before serving. Related dishes. A similar sandwich is the medianoche, midnight, sandwich. As the name suggests, the sandwich originated as a late-night snack, likely in the nightclubs of Havana. The medianoche contains the same ingredients as the Cuban sandwich, but is smaller and, unlike a Cuban, is served on yellow-colored egg bread, similar to challah, which is softer and sweeter than Cuban bread.